As I said earlier, lots of Susie tweeted and slammed the Vanity Fair pieces disingenuously framed and a hit piece. Karoline Levitt spoke in support of Susie. Number 4, please.
Is unfortunately another example of disingenuous reporting, where you have a reporter who took the chief of staff's words wildly out of context, did not include the context those conversations were had within. And then further, I think the most egregious part of this article was the bias of omission that was clearly present. And we see a lot of this when dealing with the media every day. You will leave out important context, leave out comments and facts. You know, many people in this building spoke with that reporter, and those comments were never included in the story, probably because it didn't push this false narrative of chaos and confusion that the reporter was clearly trying to push. So what I'll say about our chief of staff, as you've seen from not just myself, but also the entire cabinet, and a groundswell of support from people on Capitol Hill who don't even work in this building, about how incredible Susie Wiles has been to President Trump. And he's been able to accomplish so much because of his leadership and his tenacity, but also because of Chief of Staff Wiles's leadership and her ability to effectuate his agenda.
Okay, I don't know if Martians can speak English, but Emily, follow me here. If a Martian came down to Earth and heard that, and you said to the Martian, do you think the person who's being talked about there is about to be fired? What would you say? No, seriously. In other words, if you didn't know anything about Susie Wiles or the president or anything, but just heard that, would you say she's talking about someone who's on thin ice and about to be fired or not?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. And as soon as I saw the buzz about this Vanity Fair story, and before I started to really plug into the conversation about it, I thought for sure this was going to be a very tense moment for Susie Wiles. I'm sure it's been tense, but everyone over the course of the day raced to stand by Susie Wiles, despite the inexplicable fact that Susie Wiles seemed to be speaking very candidly with a left-wing reporter who clearly does not support the MAGA project. The photography in this series has gotten so much attention from people on the right, particularly the picture of Karoline Levitt that they ran with in the middle of, I forget whether it was part 1 or part 2 of the article, but just intentionally unflattering, clearly part of the editorial framing of the article, which if you're on the left, it makes sense. Of course, this is how you're going to frame an article. But on the other hand, it's inexplicable to so many people, unfathomable. This was the scuttlebutt on the right all day, which was how did Susie Wiles, who in the greatest stroke of irony is seen as a Trump whisperer because of her gatekeeping abilities, because of her abilities to be the person who doesn't let all of those wacky, say gateway pundit pieces get onto the president's desk like they were in 2016. How is she the one that gets suckered by a reporter?
Yeah.
Maybe Chris Whipple is close with Jared and Ivanka. That's possible. Jared has recommended his book. Kushner's recommended his book on chiefs of staff in the past.
Yep.
So it's possible that he had some level of built-in trust because of that relationship with Kushner. But otherwise, I think your explanation that possibly some of these conversations were either implicitly off the record or, off the record where then the conversation meanders back into on the record, but nobody knows exactly at what point it became on the record.
Yeah.
That's the best guess I have because Wiles is seen as a genius for her discipline.
Yeah.
And if she was just yapping on the record about JD Vance being a conspiracy theorist, whatever, that would seem wildly undisciplined.
Right. All very well said. A couple things, and then I'll bring Julian. First of all, Susie Wiles, if you don't know this, you should. She's not an outlier in this White House in terms of her view of the media. She thinks the media is liberal and hostile to Republicans and not on the up and up. So she's not like she's a captive to the Vanity Fair ethos, and she couldn't care less about going to the Oscar party or anything like that. The second is, I can tell you for a fact that with few exceptions, and I think Musk may be one of them, many of the people who are Susie Wiles is quoted as speaking negatively about are people she has great respect and affection for. She loves the vice president, huge respect for the vice president, loves the president, huge respect for the president. And let's see what the audio tapes, if there are audio tapes released, let's see what they show. But I'll give you an example of how this can happen, right? And if Susie's critique is correct, reporter's talking to a source and says, what do you think of Emily's show? I love Emily's show. It's fantastic. Reporter asks again, some people don't really like Emily's show. Do you really think Emily's show is good? Oh, I love Emily's show. I think Emily's got one of the best shows going. Some people, though, are down on Emily, think the show's not as good as it used to be. No. I've been listening to it, and it's really good. Finally, the reporter asks again, and the source gets a little exasperated. Hey, Mark, what do you think of Emily's show? Is it the best show going out there? Is there any show better than Emily's show? And the source, frustrated, wants to end the thing, says, are there shows better than Emily's show? Sure. Emily's not the greatest show out there. And then you take that quote and you say, what does Mark think of Emily's show? Quote, well, it's not the best show out there. And then the reader sees that with a tone like, well, Mark's trashing Emily's show, even though I defended it 3 times. That's my theory, is that,
I
you take these quotes. Did she say he's a conspiracy theorist? Yeah. Now, maybe she didn't even say it on the record, but I could see her saying that on the record if she said 42 nice things about him first. If you're looking for holiday gifts, look no further than Cozy Earth. They make the softest, best fitting of everything. They make great sheets and towels, blankets, the bubble cuddle blanket. You've heard me talk about it before. And great pants. The pants are award-winning. You heard me yesterday read a letter from one of our happy, satisfied customers about the front zippered pocket. Big fan of the front zippered pocket. Anyway, I'm saving amazing 40% off everything on the Cozy Earth website right now. Viscose made from bamboo, extraordinarily soft and comfortable. Everything, clothes, towels, sheets, blankets, etc. Go to CozyEarth.com, use the promo code 2way for 40% off. And if you get the post-purchase survey, please tell them you heard about Cozy Earth here on 2way tonight. Again, give the gifts of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays, carries into a cozy new year. CozyEarth.com, promo code 2way.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the 2way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and 2way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.